Hello, welcome to a Diabolical Puzzle. It is from the website sudoku.org.uk. It's a Sunday today, and therefore, according to the website, this is a diabolical puzzle. And as you can see, it has less than 25 givens, so it might be quite difficult to solve. I'll have to see what happens, and we'll take it from there. If you wonder about the thumbnail for this puzzle on YouTube, why am I solving Sudokus without using pencil marks when it clearly could be faster to use pencil marks? Well, the answer is simple. I don't solve Sudokus for speed. I'm not really a competitive person. I think I should say I solve Sudokus just as I solve chess problems as a mental exercise and because it satisfies my mind and my passion for solving problems. I am a chess player as well, and I love the way that logic in chess and logic in Sudokus kind of intersect. So without further ado, let's start this puzzle and see if we can solve it without using pencil marks. There's a 1 here that can see these two cells, and this 1 here prevents 1 from going here. So we need a 1 for one of these two cells. Which one isn't important right now? What's important is that with the ghost 1 here, we cannot have a 1 anywhere else in this column. They're all blocked by a ghost 1 up here. And there is also a 1 here. So we know that we need to find a 1 for this row, for this column now. And it can't go here or here or here. And it also can't go here because of the 1 here. So this, oh, what happened here? So this cell has got to be a 1. And what else can we see quickly now? Well, we got this 5, and we've got the 5 here, and these two 5s block all other 5s from the top 2 rows. So we need to find a 5 now for row 3. Since 5s can't go in any of these 3 cells because of the two 5s already present in the 2 blocks, we need to find a 5 for one of these 3 cells. And there is a 5 here and here, and that puts a 5 in this cell. There's no other place it can go. Having found a 5, we can continue with the 5s because the 5 here blocks all 5s from this column. And the 5 here blocks all 5s from this row. So we know that a 5 for this row here will have to go in one of these 2 cells because of the 5 up here and the 5 down here. So where now can we place a 5 in this row, row 7? Clearly, it can't go anywhere here because of this 5, and it can't go here because of this 5. It also can't go here because of the 5 up here. So the 5 will have to go here. Rows 4 and 6 both have a 9 in them. So in this 3 by 3 times 3 chute of 3 boxes, we still need to find a 9, and it needs to go in this row here. It can only go in this cell here because of the 9 already present here and here. And I believe that we can find a 1. We got this 1 here, and we got this 1 here, and they block 1s from these 5 cells. And we've got the 1 here, and we've got the 1 here, and they block these 4 cells. And that means that we only have this cell here for a 1. We can find a 7, and we can find a 7 for column 1, because the 7 can't go in these 2 cells because of this 7, nor can it go in these 2 cells because of this 7. And the 7 here forces a 7 in this cell. Another way to look at solving things, let's look at this 1, 5, 6, and a 9 here. One way to try to solve a puzzle is to say, well, we need to find a 1, 5, 6, and a 9 for this row outside of this box. So the 1, 5, 6, and 9 need to go in these cells. And we already have, of course, a 1 and a 9. So we need to find homes for a 5 and a 6. The 5 could go here in theory, and it could also go here, and it could go here. So that doesn't help us. But the 6 can't go here, nor can it go here, because of the 6 already present in this box. And this 6 prevents it from going here. Therefore, we know that the 6 will have to go here. And now that we found this 6, we immediately scan upwards, and we see that in this etude, the columns 4 and 5 already have a 6 in them. So we need to find a 6 for column 6. And since these two 6s block all of these cells from containing a 6, we know that the 6 will have to go in this one right here. And if we continue this train of thought, let's look at the 1, 3, and the 6 here. We need to find a 1, 3, and a 6 for these two cells. And we already have a 1 and a 6, of course, so we know that a 3 will have to go in one of these two cells. And since we have a ghost 3 here, and we have this 3, we also now know that a 3 will have to go in one of these two cells here. It doesn't really help us a lot right now, but it's something that once I've analyzed it and looked at it, I don't have to do that again. So I can concentrate on something else. And when I need this tidbit of information, it will pop right back up into the front of my head. We have this 6 here, and that blocks this cell from being a 6, doesn't it? And these two cells couldn't be a 6 either because of the 6 here. And this cell couldn't be a 6 because of this 6 in the row. Therefore, this cell must be a 6. We still need to find, and by the way, there are no 8s already as given in this grid, so it'll be interesting to see when the first 8 pops into the grid. Anyway, we know we need to find 1, 3, and an 8. Well, actually a 1, 2, 3, and an 8 for the puzzle. And the 1 can't go here, and the 1 can't go in these two cells because of this 1 and this 1. So it needs to go here. There's just no other place it can go. Now, the 1 here and here, they block 1s from these 6 cells. And the 1 here blocks a 1 from this cell. So we know that a 1 for this row will have to go here. We need to find a 2, 3, and an 8 to complete these 3 empty cells in this block. Now there's a 2 here that blocks this cell, and there's a 2 here that blocks this cell, and that leaves only the cell for a 2. Here's something that we often don't pay attention to, but look at the 5 and the 7 in this row, right? The 5 and the 7, and look at this 5 and a 7 here. So we have actually blocked these 3 cells and these 2 cells from being a 5 and a 7. So we know that this cell and this cell will have to be a 5 and a 7 in some combination. And while that doesn't help us with the 5s and the 7 at the moment, it gives us an important clue about this cell here. This cell must be a 2. Let me explain. If this cell is a 5 or a 7 and this cell is a 5 or a 7, then this cell and this cell can't be 2s, and this cannot be a 2 because it has to be a 5 or a 7. So a 2 will have to go in one of these two cells. And therefore, a 2 cannot go in this cell. And we still need to find a 2 for column 1. And it clearly can't go here because of this 2. So this is a 2. Now, this is a 3 or an 8, and this is a 3 or an 8. This is a 3 or an 8, and this is a 3 or an 8. We also know that apart from the 2 that needs to go in one of these two cells, we need a 4 in this cell or in this cell, because this cell already is blocked by this 4. So a 4 can't go here. So we still need a 4, of course, for the row. So it needs to go here or here. So now we know where the 2 and the 4 go in this block and in this row. Unfortunately, we still need to find a 3. The 3 will have to go in one of these two cells. And the last one will have to be an 8, I think. But I'm not quite sure, so I'll leave it be for the moment. The 3 here puts a 3 in one of these cells, and we know that this cell cannot be a 3 because it has to be a 7 and a 5, and this cannot be a 3. So one of these will have to be a 3. But I think I spotted a 6. Now, this 6 blocks these two cells from being 6s, and this 6 blocks these two cells from being 6s. So one of these two cells will have to be a 6. That's just plain logic. So given a ghost 6 here and given a 6 here, we need to find a 6 for one of these two cells. And there's a 6 already in this column. So clearly, this has got to be the 6. Amazingly, we still haven't found a single 8 yet. Here's a little bit of a neat logic. See this 9 here? And see this 3? They put a 3 and a 9 in these two cells in some order, don't they? 3 and a 9. Remember the 9 for now. Because if there is a 9 here that blocks this column, we cannot have a 9 here, can we? So a 9 will have to go in one of these two cells. And now look at this cell here. It is blocked from being a 9 by this 9. This cell is blocked from being a 9 by this 9. So we just found out that a 9 for this block will have to go here or here. And now we know that it must go here because there is no other cell in this row that can actually take a 9. Because of the 9 that can see this cell and the ghost 9 that can see this cell. And we need to find a 9 for the row. So here it goes. So if these two are a 3 and a 9, then these two, of course, will have to be a 7 and an 8. And since we already have a 7 in this row, this is now an 8, and this is a 7. And now remember this 7 and a 5 here, and the 7 and a 5 here. Because of the 7 now, we know that this must be a 5, and this must be a 7. And I think we are getting somewhere now. The 5 here blocks these two cells from being 5s, and the 5 here blocks this cell. So the 5 will have to go here. And I believe we found our first 8. Hurrah, it's up here. So we need to find a 5 for this center column 5. And the 5 here prevents a 5 from going here and here, of course, and this 5 prevents a 5 from going here. There's a 5 in the bottom row also, so this cell must be a 5. And now we're getting a little bit closer, I think. This looks like one of these usual computer-generated diabolical puzzles that end up with an XY chain or something that solves everything immediately. You usually need pencil marks to solve those because they can have chains that are quite long. But for now, I can say that this is a 3 or an 8, 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 and this is a 3 or an 8. And I wonder if I can do something with that. By the way, it just strikes me that we have an X-wing on 8s, don't we? This cell can be an 8 and this cell can be an 8. And those are the only two cells in this column that can be an 8. This cell has got to be a 2 or an 8, and this cell has got to be a 2 or an 8. So we have an X-wing in this cell, this cell, this cell, and this cell. And that means that any other cells in the same row and column cannot be 8s. And of course, this cell was to be a 2 or a 4, and this must be a 2 or a 4. So we have a 2, 4 and a 2, 8, and we have a 4, 8 possibility for this third cell. So let me explain what I just discovered. This cell here must be a 3, 4, or an 8, right? But it cannot be a 3 because of the 3 here. So this cell must be a 4 or an 8. This cell must be a 2 or a 4. This cell must be a 2 or an 8. And this cell must be a 3 or an 8 as well, this one. Now, let's focus on the 2 and the 4 values here. Let's say that the value is a 2. If this is a 2, then obviously the 2, 8 cell here now becomes an 8. If this is an 8, then this 3, 8 cell cannot be an 8, it must be a 3. Now imagine that this is a 4, that was the other value, the 2 and the 4. Imagine this is a 4, and remember that this is a 4 or an 8. If this is a 4, then this is an 8. And if this is an 8, then again this cannot be an 8. So now we know that this must be a 3 and this must be an 8. And this 8 now gives us the 8 here. The 8 here and the 8 here gives us finally an 8 for the bottom row, like so. And these two cells are now 2 and 4s. We have a 2 already in this column, so the 4 goes here and the 2 here. Now the 4 here and here gives us a 4 here. And we knew all the time that one of these would have to be a 4, didn't we? Because the 4 here blocked this cell from being a 4, and this cell already had a 2 in it. Now, obviously, the 2 here forces a 2 in this cell, and the last digit we need here is a 3. It goes here. So these cells now have to be a 4 and a 3. And therefore, these cells will have to be a 4 and a 3. And since there's a 3 already in this column, we know that this has got to be the 4 and this has got to be the 3. These two cells had to be a 3 and an 8 in some order. Now we know the order because of the 3 here. This is the 8, this is the 3, this is the 8. And because of the 8 down here, this is now an 8. Sorry, an 8. The last two digits here have got to be a 4 and a 3. We have a 3 already here, so clearly the 4 goes here, and the 3 here, and the 4 here. Now these last cells have to be a 4 and a 2. We have a 4 already in this column, so the 4 will go here and the 2 here. And of course, this 4 and this 4 puts a 4 in this cell because we already have a 4 in row 1. The 3 here and the 3 here leaves only the cell up here in the corner for 3. And now we know where the 3 and the 9 go in this column. The 3, of course, goes here and the 9 here. The last digit here is going to be an 8. It's the last one missing. And the 8 here and here, of course, gives us the 8 for this row, like so. We need a 2 and a 7 for these two cells. There's a 2 already in the row, so the 2 will have to go here and the 7 here. And this 2 now, and this 2, and the 2 up here gives me this 2, like so. And the last digit is going to be a 9 for the row. And that gives me this 9 down here. This is now going to be 6. And the 6 here and here gives us a 6 for the top row. And the last digit missing is going to be a 7. And we need a 7 for this cell as well. And now we've solved the puzzle. That was not so easy, I admit. And I would agree that it is a diabolical level puzzle because we had to find an X-wing and we had to find a small chain using bi-value cells. It may seem a little difficult and obscure if you are not used to thinking about solving puzzles this way, but for me personally, this is a much nicer experience than using a lot of pencil marks that kind of make it easy to spot everything. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this and I hope that you will come back for more. Bye for now.